Welcome to People, Power, and Politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's People, Power, and Politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people, you have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.
Today, we are joined by Lawman Lynch, a dedicated leader in youth development and education. As the program manager for elementary and middle schools at New York Edge, one of the city's largest providers of after-school and summer programs, he plays a vital role in shaping the lives of students across New York City. In addition, through his nonprofit, the Lawman Lynch Foundation, Inc., he continues to empower young people with resources, mentorship, and opportunities for growth. This year, Lawman also stepped into the political arena, running for public office to expand his impact on the community. We are excited to learn more about his journey, his mission, and what's next. Welcome, Mr. Lynch. Such a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate being here, and good day to your listeners.
You're so very welcome. So tell us, what first inspired you to pursue a career in education and youth development?
I believe I've always had a passion for youth development, child development, community development in general. I think it's an innate thing. I grew up in a household that, supported community development. But I do believe that I fell in education. It was never my intention to be a formal educator, even though I work in educational leadership. But it really started back home in Jamaica when the Ministry of Education started what we knew then as the Education Transformation Team to ensure that young people developed as best as possible. And a part of that team was a group of educators who focused on behavior change. And I wasn't formally trained in education, but I became a part of that team because they saw me as an expert in community development and youth development. And we believe collectively that if young people are supposed to learn the way they should or grasp knowledge the way they should, we have to look at the whole development of a child, not just the cognitive development, but also the affective development of the child. And that's how I really got involved in education and made that transition from Jamaica to the United States, working in the nonprofit sector, primarily in the after-school space. And, after-school programming is so much more than, child care. It's really ensuring that young people are provided with the tools, the skills, and the education necessary for them to become actively involved in society.
Very well said. So, as program manager for elementary and middle schools at New York Edge, what does a typical day look like for you, and what impact do you aim to have on students?
Oh, wow. New York Edge is such an amazing organization. And of course, I'm here in my capacity as a community development, practitioner. It just so happens that I work at New York Edge. And we have in Brooklyn multiple program managers, working in over 40 schools, public schools and charter schools. And a typical day is centered. It's hard to describe a typical day, but it's really centered as best as possible. It's really centered around engaging our stakeholders. Our primary stakeholders are our children, of course, and our families. But we have to have a wonderful relationship with our principals. I have to have a wonderful relationship with all the directors, the program directors, those who manage the after-school programs for New York Edge in these respective schools. And really, it's really a coaching job, ensuring that our program directors understand what is required to run high quality after school programs. And I said earlier that after school programming is so much more than childcare. It has gone beyond that in leaps and bounds. It's really curricular driven. So young people are given an opportunity to be their best selves, learning math, English, STEM, co-curricular activities, enrichment activities within the orange economy, dance, music, you name it, engineering, So it is important that we provide these spaces, and that's why I work with an organization like New York Edge, because they provide the opportunity for young people, especially in low-income households, to access the co-curricular activities that they will not be able to afford outside of the regular day school.
So you mentioned the students and the families, being the stakeholders, so to speak. What are some of the biggest challenges you see facing them today, and how does New York Edge help address them?
So we still have an issue with single-parent households in a number of our communities across New York City. And with single-income households, we recognize that, finances becomes an issue. Finances and access to high quality after school care. So that's a major, major issue. So when you have an organization like New York Edge providing through city resources, and other stakeholders, free after school services, we are not only catering to the academic development of the child, but we're catering to the social and emotional development of the child. But the ripple effect of that is offsetting what it will cost a parent to, pay for after school services for their children. So this is free programming. So it helps the family economically, So I think that is one of the biggest factors. And not only that, we find that when we think of child development or youth development, and sending our children to school, we want them to grow cognitively, learn math, learn English. We want you to become a doctor, we want you to become a lawyer. But a child's development is so much more than that. What about the affective domain? How are we investing in their social and emotional development? And that is what after school is all about, So that's how we assist, children, their families, and by extension, society.
All right. So you have your own nonprofit, the Lawman Lynch Foundation, Inc. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us how it started and what makes its work unique?
Right. So the Lawman Lynch Foundation was started when I barely turned 20. And it was started off, funny enough, as a joke. I got my first job, but, living with living with my mom at the time and living in the Caribbean, the overhead expenses are not as high as living in a metropolis as New York City.
No, it's not.
So I really didn't have a lot of expenses, and I had a job, and I used my excess to help children or families that didn't have. And a friend of mine said, nah, you're doing too much. It's almost like you have a foundation, what are you, the Lawman Lynch Foundation? I'm like, aha. And we created a Facebook group, and within 24 hours, that group just grew in leaps and bounds, and individuals just wanted to support what I was doing. I couldn't change the name again, because it caught on. And that's how it really started. And then when I migrated to Brooklyn, I decided I wanted to continue helping children, those who are vulnerable and marginalized back in Jamaica, but we still had to do work in America as well. So the focus is really to help those who are vulnerable and marginalized in Kingston, Jamaica. We have adopted over 150 children, ensuring that they got at least one hot meal per day while in basic school in Jamaica. We have supported multiple parenting organizations and youth groups to ensure that children have all the necessary materials to go back to school. We provide scholarships for children to access, tertiary level education as well. While in the North American space, we are focused on, civic education. And I do have a book out on Amazon.
What's the name of your book?
The Adventures of Kiko, Being the Best You. And we also have, an educator's guide for that. And we want to focus on, those citizenship education themes. So we engage individuals from K to 12 to ensure that they understand what it is to be a model citizen. So that's what we do in both spaces.
I couldn't think of a better name for your foundation.
Really?
Really.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So this year you made the decision to run for office. What motivated you to take that step from community leadership into politics?
I believe it's a natural progression. I think community development, to a very large extent, hinges on politics. I found it so hard to call myself a politician because we know that, based on a lot of what is happening, not only in the U.S., but globally, there's a negative connotation to the word politician. So I see myself really as a community development practitioner, community development worker. And I wanted, and those around me, because it was really a team effort, we really wanted to access the resources so that we can do more for our communities. I live in a city council district that is under-resourced, underserved, a lot of vulnerable and marginalized residents. And instead of complaining every single day, there comes a time when we have to step forward and offer ourselves. And I believe, and those around me believe that, it would have been a fantastic opportunity for us to really get in that space so that we can provide the best support as possible for our residents.
Well, Che Guevara did say that leaders rise to the occasion.
That's true.
There you go. So what was the experience like, both the challenges and the rewards of running a campaign?
The experience was phenomenal. I had a wonderful campaign. I believe that we ran a superior campaign compared to the other candidates. The one of the things, about this campaign is just meeting so many individuals. And even though we are in the same geographic locations, basically everyone is from the same socio-economic background, we are so different. We are so diverse. And I think that's what makes humanity so beautiful. And I was reminded of how important it is to appreciate individuals for who they are, and also to meet individuals where they are and to see how best you can help. The challenge was always resources. And when I say resources, both financial and human resource, even though I did have a solid team, but we needed more people actively involved in the political process. The financial resources, thanks to matching funds, we were able to hit some targets. But the reality is people do not have the resources. People are not that well off to contribute as they should to the political process. So that was a major issue. Put it this way. Our opponent ran a campaign that cost her around about $1.2 million. Our campaign did not have 10% of that, right? So the challenges were great, but the rewards proved to be greater. I believe that we made some great friends who have become family throughout this campaign, and I'm grateful.
All right, because that's going to lead me into my next question. I was going to ask you, looking back on the campaign, what did you learn about yourself, your community, and the political process?
Right. So, what I learned about myself, I think it reaffirmed the idea or the mindset of tenacity. My first year in these United States of America was extremely difficult. I have experienced homelessness. I know what it is to live in the shelter, to be a part of the shelter system in New York City. And being able to overcome that, indicated that I have within me that level of tenacity that's needed to overcome and to survive. And this particular campaign was extremely difficult. We had to build bridges, we had to build partnerships, and it was not easy, especially in New York politics. I'm very disappointed in some of our elected officials. When you have a district like the one I, ran in, District 41, covering some of our most vulnerable communities, I find it very unfortunate that elected officials will just keep their hands off the process. We know when more is needed. We know when more needs to be done. And to just stand back and to watch, that was a disappointing experience for me. But I also understand it, because within politics, you have to maintain relationships, right? So I guess this is a call to action for those ordinary residents, the voters within the district, to understand that they deserve better, and better is available, but we have to go out and we have to exercise our franchise by voting.
Okay, so let's go back to your role as a program manager. Is there a student or program success story that stands out to you as a reminder of why this work matters?
That's an amazing question, and it's hard to pinpoint one particular experience, because every day that I enter a school building, especially during program hours, and I see all our young people, our young scholars who are coming from households that may not be as stable as we would want, but they're given that opportunity, and you see the smiles on their face, you see them being enthused about learning. That is rewarding for me. That's rewarding for the individuals I work with. And every single day that underscores why we do what we do. Yesterday, I was at a particular school, and I observed the program director do her town hall meeting, and they were focused on SEL, which is social emotional learning, and having young people understand the importance of basic expectations like respect, and to see our young people who are sometimes, written off by society, being so involved and understanding what is required of them, really warms my heart, and it makes me believe that as much as a lot of what is happening in society may seem negative, we do have a bright future ahead of us.
All right, and speaking about the future, looking ahead, what is your long-term vision for New York Edge, your foundation, the Lawman Lynch Foundation, Inc., and possibly future public service?
It's hard to speak about the long-term vision for New York Edge because I'm just an employee. However, New York Edge, I hope, will be around for many, many years, continuing the great work that it's doing. I do consider it to be a gold standard in community work. For the Lawman Lynch Foundation, I want to get to a point where we have so much resources and access to the point where we can help those who are really in need. The motto of our foundation is only love. Very, very simple. 2 words, only love. And that's what we focus on. If we see somebody in need of love, care, and attention, that's what we want to provide through education, youth, and community development. In terms of political aspirations moving forward, I'm not giving up. I do have, even today, there's an event in Brownsville where my foundation is contributing to a back-to-school drive, even though the school term has already begun, but there are individuals who are still in need of stationery, still in need of supplies, and through our partners and, supporters of Lawman Lynch and the Lawman Lynch Foundation, we're going to be ensuring that we do that in collaboration with NYCC, which is the New York Communities for Change. So I'm excited about that. Personally, I want to complete my doctoral program as soon as possible. And, you know, I think that will also open new doors for me. And then we have another year and a half to, you know, regroup and then launch another campaign. You know, so I'm excited about the future.
All right, great. So how can one learn more about your foundation and support?
Well, you mean reach out. You know, my foundation, Lawman Lynch Foundation.org. That is Lawman Lynch Foundation.org. Follow me on Instagram. I post all the time. Lawman Lynch, LAWMANLYNCH, or Lawman Lynch NY, as in New York, Lawman Lynch NY. And I'm also on TikTok, you know, Snapchat, Facebook, Lawman Lynch, all Lawman Lynch. And you'll be able to make contact with me. And we do respond. And I respond. Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Lynch, for sharing your story and your commitment to uplifting young people and communities through education, mentorship, and leadership, from your work at New York Edge to your foundation to your recent political campaign. It's clear that your dedication to service goes beyond titles. It's about creating lasting change. We wish you continued success in all your endeavors and look forward to seeing what's next and to have you back here to tell us about it.
Thank you so much. You're greatly appreciated.
You are so very welcome.
People, power, and politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's people, power, and politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people. You have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.